Hey, what's going on there, folks? Welcome back here to a weekend. Well, start of the weekend, Friday, May 17th, 2024. It's about 11:27 a.m. here, California time. Latest activity here on the Earthquake 3D globe. Let's see what we got here on this Friday. It looks like a 1.3 into the region of Southern California there in the green flag. Covering space weather activity here real quick. Got an unexpected solar storm brewing up here. Nothing big, but it is ramping up some auroras across the polar regions there, as you can see on the latest aurora forecast. Now, it helps as to having the BZ component here. That's going to be this red line well south of the zero level. That's allowing even what minor solar wind is out there to flow in pretty easily. We are kicking up, it looks like, around the KP index of 5, which would put it at a G1 class storm. Of course, last week, G5 class storm sparked up all those auroras, as you can see there on the previous KP index map. We're well below that. I don't know when the next time we'll see something like that is, but you never know. I mean, the sun's been quite active here recently. So we got that stirring up. Still a little bit of proton activity there across the northern polar region. Looks like that's diminishing here compared to last night. And far as any specific flaring goes, well, the last couple days have been relatively minor. We did see those 2 X flares there just about 3 days ago or so now. And just been popping here with some C flare activity. We do have a very large sunspot that we're continuing to keep an eye on here. It's going to be 3685. Let's go ahead and check out the magnetogram image, see what we got. This is last night's image. Here is the most recent image here. And yeah, still quite the large area here. Fairly dynamic. It almost reminds me of the sunspot that had just left here off on the western limb, the source of, numerous X flares and all the CME activity there, leading to all the auroras seen at low latitudes last week. So we'll keep an eye on this area as it does harbor some potential for some stronger flaring. Right now, it's only popping off some C flare activity, but again, it is dynamic, and it does have the potential there of sparking up some decent flaring activity. Now, whether this activity tonight will extend into tonight or not, we'll just have to keep an eye on it. This condition here is, like I say, a G1 class storm. I don't know if we're going to see this continue throughout the evening or not. I don't think it was even called for, but there it is, showing up on the aurora charts. All right, so overall threat, even though it's diminished here to 40% for M flare, X flare around 10%, and C flare around 99%, we still got to watch this sunspot 3685. I think that's going to be a little newsmaker as we head deeper into the weekend and early next week. All right, what do we got here? Well, check this out real quick. I wanted to show you guys the power outages. They're making headway, but we're still up there. Just about 750,000 people here in Texas that were still without power, mainly across the Houston area and greater region there around Houston. That they had some big storms last night, pretty much a straight line wind event. There may have been an embedded tornado in there that sparked up the huge wind threats. Let's see what we got. I want to go to right here. Now, these are confirmed reports. 4 tornado reports. Doesn't look like it's in the area of Houston, though. I don't want that. But, yes, definitely some straight line wind events. As you can see, wind reports was up there around 125. And from what I heard, there was sustained winds at around about 125. I want to make sure I didn't repeat myself there, but yeah, 125 miles per hour wind blowing through the Houston area, knocking windows out downtown, knocking a lot of power lines over and whatnot. And that's, it's definitely a little on the interesting side. Let me zoom in here real quick, see what we got. Definitely there's all that wind, speed unknown. These guys are going to be assessing the situation Unfortunately, there was some casualties with this wind activity. A lot of fallen trees and even a crane incident, it looks like. But no confirmed reports of tornadoes. This is just a straight line wind event. And those straight line winds can actually do more of a broader damage out there. When you got 110, 120 mile per hour straight line winds stretching, 20 or 30 miles, that can do almost, a little bit more damage over a broader scale than, say, a tornado that's confined to a certain, block or two width-wise. But anyway, goodness. So hopefully they get their power up and running. Could be a few more days. As far as earthquake activity goes, look at that. What is going on out here? Where'd they all go? Well, let's check out the EMSC globe here and take a look at the activity. It's actually a rather quiet day out here in terms of anything really above the 4.5 level. That's why we're not seeing a whole lot of activity here. From the USGS map, aside from an earthquake there yesterday, 4.5 just off the coast of Japan, really not a whole lot else showing up out here. So things are, normally when things go quiet like that, this is the time to watch for activity. And for the most part, it seems as though when things really start slowing down and getting quiet here along the western areas of the Pacific Plate, things kick up out here somewhere across the west coast or adjacent plates, which could include the Nazca or the Cocos Plate here, which is up against the South America region listed up here on the map. So we'll continue to watch that through the day today. Far as whatever activity is going on here, let's go ahead and zoom in and take a look. Southern California, a handful of smaller quakes here across the Garlock Fault Shear Zone. Notice that fault system runs completely opposite of what the normal fault systems run out here, including the plate boundary along California. It's a shear fault and kind of acts as a spring out here. I'm really surprised we haven't seen any further large-scale movement out here recently in this area. Of course, the southern branch of the San Andreas Fault fairly primed for some larger activity, but for now, that's pretty quiet. One earthquake way down here from this morning on 1.2. That is at the extreme southern end of the San Andreas Fault. Got to watch that. We don't want to see any swarming going on out here because that could be an indicator of some big-time movement about ready to take place. The rest of the country, as you can see, minimal movement across most of the oil fields there. What do we got here in the San Francisco region? A little 2.4 near the San Leandro area. That's off the Calaveras, or the Hayward Fault, excuse me. Hayward Fault that runs here through the east side of the bay. Runs through areas such as Oakland and whatnot. This is a very dangerous fault system here, and many different faults around the Bay Area are primed for some larger movement. We've just been living in these awfully quiet times in terms of earthquake activity. We've been pretty fortunate to not have a whole bunch of large-scale activity recently. 4.3 up in the Alaska area from this morning. It looks like that's pretty deep here into the Aleutian Trench. 144 kilometers deep for that earthquake. Aside from that, let's see what's going on out here in the Pacific. A little bit of movement up around the Kilauea volcano here today, it looks like. So let's go ahead and double check that, see what we got from the USGS map here. And the volcano still sits at a yellow and advisory. Earthquake activity continuing, obviously, underneath this area. Past 12 hours does show some of that movement. Again, this has been somewhat consistent here over the past couple days with up and down activity. The latest update was put out here today, 7:45 a.m. Hawaii time, and they just mentioned that the volcano is currently not erupting here. Earthquake counts remain slightly above background levels. Last night, looks like there was a flurry of earthquakes underneath the South Caldera region. Things have settled down for now. And ground deformation continues underneath the South Caldera region, so let's go check that out. From the deformation data chart here, we'll see what's up. And we've seen look at that little bit of downturn here, but now we're starting to go back up. I wonder if that's going to be it. If that was our, if you look at the stair-stepping event over the last 30 days, we've seen inflation followed up by a period of deflation each time. Except for this most recent time here. I mean, if you want to count this little, just a little dip here in inflation, this is deflation on the chart, very minimal. Looks like we're going to continue to go up, so things are getting pressurized underneath the area quite nicely. As far as the Iceland activity goes, earthquake movement up here. Still seeing some activity stirred up in the last 6 hours out around the Grindavik area. Let's go check out 12-hour map here, including the all magnitudes here. And, you know, still watching this area over here away from the crater region. It doesn't look like any increasing activity out here, more so offshore. Could be a broader event going on out here, but I don't think we were... check out the live from Iceland site here real quick. Still looks as it has since the eruption has halted here just a few days ago, or it's been, I think, a little bit over a week now. Maybe a little bit more. I don't know. Time's just been flying by. I don't know if anybody else has experienced a time warp, so to speak, but seems like things are really kicking into gear as far as time zipping on by. So the crater area out here, of course, there's the big crater region that's been active here recently. The folks up there are thinking that this is the area that's going to take place where we're going to see another eruption, but there's always that concern, folks, of seeing some further activity down south here in the Grindavik area, and more so, at least where all this earthquake activity is stirring up, maybe across this region right here, Lagafell region. So we'll have to continue to keep an eye on this, see how things play out, because the area underneath this region here is quite inflated. Let's check out asteroid approaches here today. Really nothing under 1 million miles or so. So that's a safe distance, even for a bus-sized asteroid. Aside from that, as you can see, everything else is quite a distance away. Really no big asteroids headed this way, not even in 1 million miles or so. So it looks like we're safe, right, for now, at least according to the NASA site. Storm Prediction Center got some severe weather activity up into the northern plains here. Looks like mainly wind and hail threats up there. It looks like wind. As far as down south, a little bit of tornado activity down here across areas. Wind and some hail threats as well as we head into Saturday. A scattered thunderstorm event out here. Really nothing major out here across the southeast. Got a little chance for some tornado activity, but mainly looks like some wind events taking place out here. All right, what else we got? Yellowstone National Park. Anything stirring up out here? Looks like wind stirring up out here as well. These are wind events. They always tend to kick up during the daytime. I always like to point that out as well, because everyone's asking, what's this reading that comes up here during the day? Well, those are wind events. There's a little earthquake up here. Looks like maybe 2 of them. Let's see, did the USGS report those or not? Let's see. 2.6, that was up in Montana, and a 1.7 down into the Yellowstone area. But aside from that, I mean, things look pretty quiet. Maybe another spike of an earthquake right here, but it doesn't look like there's anything stirring up for now. It's been quite a while since we've seen, you know, a large-scale event take place out here in terms of earthquake movement. Things have been pretty quiet. I want to see if this is that time period when we had that big-time earthquake swarm out here. Was it 2009 or 2008? I think it was 2008 going into 2009. There we go. Yeah, I remember this. This event back in that day, I was studying this. I was up all night looking at this. A lot of people really thinking that things were going to pop out here at Yellowstone. We did see some uptick in terms of inflation going on, but man, look at that earthquake activity. That was crazy, and it lasted for a couple weeks here. Quite a bit of nerves rattling up there, but you know, these were quite a few threes and even some 4-pointers out here as well at the time. And of course, a lot more underneath that. But a lot of people pulled the fear-mongering plug on this. And, I think if we were to see anything of noteworthy value, we'd be looking at 5s and 6s out here consistently with a huge inflation event. But that is not the case, and it hasn't been. But these little swarms that do get, some people stirred up out there across the Yellowstone area and the social media world. As far as any GPS activity out here right now, things have kind of mellowed out. So 2008, right about here, 2009, we were on the uptick right here. Notice that? This is the vertical displacement. Since then, things have gone down. We've seen a little bit of uptick there in 2014. I think that's when we had another decent swarm. But since then, we've gone down, down, down. So that's a good sign. Definitely not inflating out there across Yellowstone National Park. That's a good thing. All right, folks, so we'll just kind of see what happens today. I mean, it's quite quiet out here across the map. Very eerily quiet. And we'll see how things play out. We'll catch you guys back out here a little bit later on this afternoon unless something major happens there. Take care and enjoy your Friday. We'll see you guys a little bit later.